everybody. Welcome, welcome. Please do say hello. Turn on your camera for a little bit if you can, just to say hi to our special guest today. You can always turn it off later if you want, but everybody likes that to see your face for a minute. Welcome, everybody. I know a lot of you are just logging in, so I'm adding you before we get this started. I'll give it another minute and then I will introduce our guest. And we've got some fun stuff happening today. So I'm super excited. I know it's a little earlier than we usually meet. So I'm happy for everybody who's able to make this time. Actually, it helps for some of our guests because we do have I saw at least one girl from our Kenya program here today.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
only midnight there instead of 1 or 2 a.m.
Wow.
Yes, Bernice is here, I think. I see her somewhere. Hello, Anna. Hi, Ritha and Devaraj
Hello.
and
Welcome,
Rowan.
welcome.
Yes, yes. And everybody, yeah, while we're waiting for everybody to arrive, I put a little poll there on the left that you see up about what your favorite time control is. Is it game 30? Online time control. I wrote that, right? Favorite online. Yeah, because
Yeah,
obviously it's different for most people, favorite online and favorite live. Like a lot of people tell me that when they're playing live, they like a slow time control, but it's hard to look at a screen for so many hours, right? So it's a little bit
exactly.
different. Okay, so it is 5:02. So I'm going to introduce our special guest. She is Anna Maja Kazarian. She is a Twitch streamer, and she is also the Dutch online women's chess champion. So, of all people, and her Twitch channel is booming in the last year. So, Anna Maja, along with a lot of people you've heard of, including some who have joined our club, like the Botez sisters or Hikaru Nakamura. I feel like Anna Maja is an example of someone who, throughout this chess period, has really thrived, even though live tournaments are canceled. So she's kind of seen the positive in that and really, really thrived. So I'm really excited for you to talk about that with us today, and also show some examples of your wins in the Dutch online women's.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jen, for having me. Thank you. I'm really, really excited to show you some really, really exciting games that I played in the online Dutch Women Chess Championship. It's been a crazy time. I started streaming back in February 2020, not knowing that, not expecting anything, just starting off. And yeah, then at some point we were kind of forced to stick to online chess, and here we are. At some point, the Dutch championships were held online. And yeah, I had a great pleasure participating in that and actually winning it, to my biggest surprise, because I was the lowest seeded player. But yeah, I got some really exciting games, and I would love to talk through with you about my experiences there and how I adjusted to online chess, because yeah, it's definitely very much different from over the board chess.
Fantastic. And before we get started with your games, and by the way, we are going to have some breakout rooms today. I know there's a lot of people who love those. I've been getting that feedback on our forums. So we'll have one of those later. But first, I just want to give you a little taste of Anna Maja's stream if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, so you can see why she's so popular. So I'm just going to show you a couple of different clips here, okay?
So a move like d4 would be, logical. Bishop goes back, and yeah, you have the advantage basically, but you still need to fight for the win. And a move like f4 just wins on the spot, because what is black gonna do? They either lose the bishop or they simply lose the game right away. So bishop takes e1 was played actually. It was actually played.
Okay, I gotta pause here. So this is an example. Anna Maja not only shows great games that she plays and plays chess on her stream, but she also shows great combinations. Can anybody see what she's about to show? What can white do here? Carissa.
Queen takes h6 check, king takes rook h1 check, and then rook h7 checkmate.
Bingo. Good job.
And
Awesome,
the
good
white
job.
sacrificed the rook. I mean, that's cool, right? And after this, white played queen takes h6. First he throws the rook, second he throws the queen, and we see that there's a resignation here. The game could have been continued like this. King takes, rook h1, king g7, and rook at h7 mate. And I thought this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. No, what I can do is take and run. Yes, I can run, because if he moves a knight, I can take his queen. Boom! Boom! There we go! Yeah, baby! That's exactly what I was plotting to do.
So as you can see, as you can see, it's a big variety, right? Of like playing music and playing chess and like looking at great chess games, right?
Exactly. Oh, that's awesome to watch that back.
Yeah, those are some good ones. Now, the Dutch Online Championship that you won, were you able to stream that, or was that against the rules?
So the funny thing was, at first we were forced to stream, then they decided to not force that because not everyone is ready for that. So you were allowed to stream, or you could join a Zoom call. But yeah, I was like, might as well stream it. I'm used to that. It would be so much more fun. And it was such a different experience, honestly, than like my usual streams, because like if we were gonna stream ourselves, then we had to talk like about our ideas, what we were thinking about, what we were expecting that our opponent is gonna do and stuff, So not only are you thinking about the position, but you actually like verbally are explaining the position, what you're seeing. And actually, I feel like that helped me even more to play better. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, we have some people asking if you have a YouTube, and I'm sure the answer is yes. I've seen your videos on YouTube.
Yes, I do. It's not very active. I'm trying my best to like get started with it, but yeah, I do have a YouTube channel.
And now we're going to get into it. Let me just put this in training mode so you guys don't see the answers. I'm going to share my screen now, and we are going to get into some of her games from this tournament that she won. Sorry, we spoiled that she won it. But okay,
it's all good.
So here she is playing white. And at what point in the tournament was this against Nargi's Chess 20?
So basically, let me first explain the format of this tournament. First of all, 6 people were qualified based on rating, and then there were 2 qualifiers for the other 2 spots. Because my rating was too low, I had to qualify through the qualifiers, which I did. But I was still the lowest seeded player, and I played against women grandmaster Nargis Umudova. She's originally from Azerbaijan, but she moved to the Netherlands, which is why she could participate in this championship. And this is the very first match. It was first through 3 wins. No draws do not count, so you really had to win 3 games. And yeah, this was the very first match, and it was actually a very first game. And the time control is, by the way, 3+3. It's an odd time control because usually it's 3+1 or 3+2 if it's blitz. But yeah, it was a blitz time control with 3+3. So.
Wow, that's pretty fast. These were some high quality games for 3-3. Amazing. And by the way, what's your favorite online time control, Anna? We have a lot of slow pokes in the chat, but I love to see it because they're going to be real excited when regular chess comes back. The most popular answers were game 30 or slower.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, the problem is like I don't like to play slow games. I like to play like as many games as I can. Now, bullet is a little too much. Like that's literally just trying to play as fast as possible, and the moves are so inaccurate. So I like to play 3+2. It gives me some space to talk to my chat because like I have the 2-second increment. If I get very low on time, I can like use that increment to cut back into the game basically. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of slower time control simply because I want to play many games, and I find it really hard to stick around in one position for a long time, which is really funny because as an OTB chess player, you would expect differently, but this is what I've gotten used to basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing for online chess is there's something for everyone, right? Like there's a lot of great time controls. The Chess Kid USA Women's and Girls Championship that's coming up in a couple weeks is going to be game 15. So that seems like it should fit right in with you guys because you like game 10, you like game 30. That's kind of right there in between. So I like to see it though. I like to see that you guys are thinkers. So in this position, Anna Maja played G4. And now after pawn takes G4, we're going to put up a poll question. What would you guys do here? Maureen asked if anybody in the class streams on Twitch. Now, I understand that there's a age, even if you have parental permission, I think there's an age minimum.
Yeah,
That
I
some
think
of
you
the
need to
girls
be at least 13 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the girls aren't eligible, but we usually have a couple people who stream. I'm not sure if they're here today, but we definitely have some in our list. Let's see. Okay. So what would you guys play as white here? Tara, what did you want to play?
I was thinking of rook g2 because then we can take the g4 pawn with maybe a little bit more threat than taking it with the queen, because we have the open g file that we can maybe exploit a little bit later.
Let's take a couple more answers and then talk about all the different moves. Sahana?
I was thinking f5 because I also want to take on g4 with my rook, but he can play f5 after rook g2. So, and the e6 pawn is pinned because you have a lot of pressure on the rook on e8. So after f5, he can't push f5. Then you can eventually play rook g2 to g4.
Okay. And Henrietta, what did you want to do?
I was thinking that you could take with the queen because that's check.
Understandable. Okay, great. Well, we got a good diversity of answers there. You want to reveal what you did and what you thought was best afterwards?
So here, as is very common in online chess, I did something called a pre-move. I think I pre-moved this move because I thought g4, pawn takes, queen takes g4, it's a check, and I'm also threatening to take on e6. But after queen takes g4, king h8, I quickly realized that my opponent has the move rook g8. And after rook takes e6, rook g8, I simply lose my queen because it's pinned and my king is on the g file as well. So yeah, queen takes g4 is a very logical move. But yeah, it was so logical to me that I did not consider anything else. I think in OTB chess, I would at least considered like spending some time on this move and yeah, evaluating the position better. So yeah, shall I reveal the correct move?
Yeah, and let's just so Queen G4 you didn't love that much. And by the way, I just wanted to go over Tara's choice for
Yeah.
two before you pick the one that you think was best.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
the problem is just F5, right?
Yeah, you're playing f5, and basically the problem here is that Black can reconsolidate their position by offering a queen trade, queen f7, and the pieces can quickly come together, defend the king, and it's not that easy. And I think after, if white does not go for the trade, you have at least h5.
Yeah, so the
Defend.
problem is you do get your pawn back, but you're not like winning or anything.
You're not
like
achieving anything, and I feel like the position is very like balanced because the knight on c8 can quickly jump to e4 if it wants to. The e5 square is also weak. Our knight can probably jump there, so many things could happen there.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I guess by contrast, what would white's idea for this knight be? Important positional question. If you were this knight on b3, what would you want to do?
Yeah.
Jonathan Rousden calls it talking to your pieces. Anna Miller.
You wanted to go to e5 because then it's a really good outpost. It's supported by 2 pawns.
So how would you do that?
And it's basically attacking in most of Black's territory.
So how would you do that?
I would probably, in order to get to e5, I would probably play knight to d2, and then if only the f3 pawn weren't guarding the f3 square, I would have gone knight d2, f3, and then e5.
Any other way to get there, guys? I'm not sure if these hands were up from before or from now.
Oh, wait. C1.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yep, the other way, and we got a lot of people mentioning in the chat too. Just because this knight's like actually pretty bad, so I think it's important to recognize that. Like, it's not doing anything. But that's a bit of a tangent. So, I think you now wanted to talk about what the move that you did want to play, which was F5, right?
Yeah, F5. So really well pointed out that F5 is attacking the pawn on E6, and the E6 pawn is actually pinned because there are 3 pieces secretly looking at the rook on E8. And after pawn takes, the rook is simply hanging. It's for free. And what is also funny is the fact that E6 pawn is undefendable after this. You cannot defend it. You cannot push it to E5, which means you simply lose it. And after taking this pawn on E6, you'll also be able to take the pawn on G4 or the other way around.
Excellent. And yeah, that does look like a great move indeed. So instead you played Queen G4. So we're going to kind of quickly go through this.
Yeah.
And knight D2. So now this knight can do it this way, right? So that's cool. But in this position, instead, you took on E4. I guess you thought knight F3 was too dangerous. Do you consider this move too?
Yeah, I considered this move, but I think we are like getting close to time and trouble, and I just wanted to simplify. And I thought I had good chances here because I felt like my opponent's king was much weaker than mine, and doubling my opponent's pawns, I thought it would be beneficial for me at least. And I think I could quickly rotate my rook to the king side. So yeah, I thought I would just be great for me. And I didn't like the knight on e4.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah. Although I do think that, like, you know, we have to keep in mind, guys, that this is a blitz game. So it's like you don't expect perfect play, but looking at it now in like retrospect, it does seem that this knight's going to be super good here because the queen also connects with it, right? So it might be even more powerful than this one, unless there's some tactic that I'm missing. Like, I feel like this looks really good for white, though.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with online chess. You're considering simple moves. You're more leaning towards trading off pieces rather than like keeping the piece on the board and try to find a better move than simply trading. So that's really interesting.
Although this queen F7 move, again, like just trying to remove the heat, right? That happened in another line. If they can remove the queens, then your queen on H5 is not super good anymore. So anyway, though, to just keep going, once you trade it, it gets a lot less juicy for both players. And somewhere you had a question.
Yeah.
I think it's coming up, where you being as white had to decide here whether to take the draw by perpetual because you're kind of just checking.
Yeah, like as I said, we
is.
had 3+3, so we had 3 seconds of increment, and like I tried to gain time as much as possible, and at the same time trying to evaluate the position. So, question here: would you take the draw by going queen e6 and like going for the perpetual, or do you continue by, for example, pushing the pawn,
like d5 or something?
Yeah, d5, and try to promote it.
Wow. Wow, look at those results.
Very ambitious. I love it.
Let's hear some reasons. That's only 20 seconds too. 20 seconds of thought and you guys are ready to go. Never
draw. Love it.
The spirit is admirable. Siri, what do you want to say?
The reason why I chose to not take the draw is because sometimes like after doing perpetual checks, you don't have to be you don't have to always just accept that draw, because over here you kind of got you got a pass pawn over here, and that could help you that could help like promote the game into like you winning rather than you lose rather than a draw, because even though having a draw sometimes it does help in some areas, but over here I think that this could be turned into winning a game for white.
Okay. All right. We got Siri who says that. And we've had Anna in the chat saying getting a draw when you have a chance to win is basically just resigning without losing. I'm getting a lot of great philosophical reasons to keep fighting, which I must say I love. But
Me too.
there's a but. Actually, Simone, do you want to unmute and talk?
Yeah, I think because Black also has like or like has the e4 pawn, and they basically have control of like to keep checking the king. And I feel like even though if you keep checking or like try to get some of their pawns and try to push your d5 pawn, you really don't have any way to win realistically. I mean, you could, I guess, like try to win or something like that, but I feel like it'd be a draw no matter what.
Right. And I think you hit on something pretty important. You about the dangers here for white. Anna, you want to expand on that? Like if you would just play d5, what might be kind of annoying for you?
Yeah, so the problem is here for white is that the e4 pawn is very well defended, and it actually can be really, really dangerous. So in this position right here, there is the move queen f3. It's a check. Your king has to go back. Nothing really dangerous yet, but the pawn, you can simply push the pawn now. After king e1, there's e3, and you are threatening to checkmate actually. And you like Black could try to avoid the checks now by going to g4, and that might be really, really dangerous.
I think what's going on here though?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be a draw anyway.
It's gonna be a draw anyways, but what I wanted to point out is that this is basically the reason why I didn't try to win. I got afraid of the queen f3 check, and with just a few seconds on the clock, I decided to just take the draw and move on. But I really, really love to see that you girls are so willing to try to win, and that's really, really ambitious play, and I love to see that. So anyways, you could still go for the draw, but this was what I was afraid of, and it could be something you have to look for in your own games, like a pawn like this pushed all the way to e3 with your king on e1 might be really, really dangerous.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you can't really win here for white because of all that. And the only way you can win as white, I think, is if Black messes up and, does go up like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is really dangerous.
Simply because the pawn is hanging and queen g5, yeah.
And now what can white do? I mean, there could be other things, but there's one move in particular that like just seems to win right away. Anna, you look too excited.
Queen to g3, basically forcing the trade of queens, and white already has a passed pawn. The black e pawn is hanging. It's a win. It's an immediate win.
Yeah. Yeah, because I put my king on e1 earlier. Maybe if I put it on g1, I wouldn't be winning. But yeah, okay. So yeah, really, really great. Queen g3, that liquidation is just crushing. But I think we can just draw like this. I think that should be fine.
You can still go for this. Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, it's like even here, after queen e7 check, I could be, if I don't want to do king g6, queen g5 check, if I want to avoid that, maybe I can just play this move. Maybe that's even better technique. But anyway, you did go for the draw, which is definitely the practical decision in a 3-minute game because there's mate threats going on,
Yeah, it looked really dangerous, and yeah, it's just so hard to calculate everything when you're so low on time. So yeah, that's definitely the downside of playing online chess with such a low time control.
Yeah, but great fighting spirit. I really think that your coaches have done really well to instill that in you. So good stuff. Let's look at this next game. And this one, we are going to head into breakout rooms at a certain point. But let's go through the main variation first. So you decided to play the exchange variation of the French. Can you talk to us about why you went for this line? And then you played this aggressive move, C4.
So usually I've always been playing the French exchange variation because it's so simple and I love open positions. In OTP chess, I've been trying to switch to the towers with knight d2 and try some other stuff because like the positions you get are not really suitable for over the board chess. But in light chess, it perfectly works. You get an open position and you can develop your pieces very, very easily. So the reason I go for this pawn push, it creates a great dynamic in the position. There might be positions coming up with the isolated pawn on d4. And I simply love the fact that it's such an open position. And at some point, I might be able to attack my opponent on their king. It's just positions that I really like. And I feel like in online chess, this has been very like, it fits my playing style, I would say.
Yeah, I love it. And a lot of people have played this against the French. I played this at some point. Maurice Ashley, who's also a very aggressive player, likes open positions. There's a lot of players who've kind of encountered that same struggle as you of wanting an open, fun position and going for this. On the negative side, theoretically, it's not as testing as other lines. So that's why like it makes sense like in blitz and then, play something more, super aggressive in a long time control game where you're really trying to get the advantage. Although I feel like the way they dealt with it gave you a particularly nice position because you got your bishop to c4. Yeah. So
exactly.
That's very nice. And now you played h3 before castling because you were afraid of like bishop h2 check or something.
Yeah, I was afraid of those checks. It's not working in this position, but I was afraid.
Yeah, it's something you always have to look for. You always have to check this Greek gift sacrifice, right?
Exactly.
In this particular situation, king g1 is actually a pretty sweet move because after queen h4, what move does white have here? Greek sack bad, says Sharia. That's true. Just because the sacrifice exists doesn't mean it's good. Why is this bad? This is a really important pattern, by the way, this defensive pattern here for white. Because if you don't know this pattern, like the back of your hand, you might go into this position in analysis and be like, oh, black's doing well. But no, bishop f4 is crushing. Yeah.
Yeah, it just defends everything.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's not possible to play a bishop f4 against these things.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were concerned about that. So you just started with h3. And then after knight d7, castles, your opponent played knight d6. And now you moved your queen to d3. Nice move here. And I think this is where we were going to stop, right? And ask, because this is such a classical position, right? Isolated queen pawn position. We were going to ask you guys a couple questions for your breakout rooms. I'll broadcast them, but right now, do you want to tell them what they should talk about in their breakout rooms?
So what I want you to talk about here is discuss what white's ideas are and black's ideas. Like in this position with the isolated queen's pawn, what are the ideas for white here? Maybe think of possible moves here that you like some sort of plan maybe for white, and also discuss how black should play against the isolated pawn, because that's also a different story and it's good to know that. So discuss some ideas, come up with a plan maybe for both sides, and discuss some thoughts.
So the question is, whose position do you prefer after looking, assuming that, black doesn't make a big error here, although that's a big assumption. Ananya has her hand up. The poll went away, really? Seems like people are still answering it via. Ananya, yeah, what do you have a question? Or did you want to answer this?
I was going to answer like what we were thinking as a group.
Oh, okay. Sure. Go ahead. Do I need to share my screen again so we have the position? I think so. Yeah. After queen d3. Okay. I will share the screen. I was in one of the groups, so don't mind all these arrows here. There's a lot of arrows. Okay. What were you thinking, Ananya?
So our group realized that there's an idea of bishop takes h6, pawn takes h6, and queen g6 is an idea. So an idea like a5 or bishop c7 or something like queen c7 won't work because there's that idea. So we were thinking of ways to stop it.
Okay,
So
great. But
we
let's
saw
okay, before you go on, I think it's really important to say, okay, so you thought this position was winning because the pawn can't take the queen, and if they go king here, like what else? Is it totally
queen takes
winning, or
h,
you just thought it was too dangerous for black?
too dangerous for black.
Fair enough.
Because
fair
they
enough.
can go bishop takes f7 here and threaten queen takes h6 then too.
Yeah, that's I think that's fair. I don't think white is totally winning, but I think it's fair that it's very, very dangerous and that you can't figure it all out. So you could just kind of like play this and hope for the best. I wonder what the best move is here. Anna, what are your thoughts? I mean, I'm noticing I could even play bishop here. I don't know if it's good though.
Yeah, I was thinking of that, or maybe queen e7, simply trying to get your queen on the 7th rank.
Yeah, it's because you're not mated, right? Because there's
Yeah.
and you actually have like a number of good minor pieces. Like it's kind of weird. Like somehow the potential for attacking could actually be in black's hands at some point, just because now we took you sacrifice some of your good pieces, and now we have like a lot of good minor pieces and some ideas. But I agree with Ananya at the same time that it's a lot to calculate for black, and you like don't have to play bishop f7. You could also try just like queen h6 instead, and now this king is just very vulnerable, right? Regardless of which move you play here. So okay, I think that's fair. And so you were saying, Ananya, that this is a threat that black should therefore stop, especially in a blitz or rapid game.
Yeah.
And so
So
what was your
we thought
diagnosis?
to move knight d5 and king h8. Knight d5 we didn't really like because it brought the pawn to d5, which made the c8 bishop worse. It didn't. It looked like black was because the isolated queen pawn for white went away too. So another thing was king h8, which we were thinking.
So you were saying here that you would just like take here on d5 and then you don't have an isolated pawn again?
Yeah.
Okay. Anna Maya, what do you think of that? Bishop
Yeah,
takes
we were
d5
actually
here.
talking about it in the breakout room. So what I wanted to point out is that if you take on d5, you like don't have the isolated pawn anymore, but you give the bishop pair in return for that. And it's kind of hard to like evaluate that. But I think that giving up the bishop pair is a little too much. But yeah, it's an interesting position.
Yeah, I agree, Anna. I don't like this bishop takes d5 at all because I think that now this is just a totally symmetrical position, but I've got the two bishops. So while I like the rest of your analysis, Ananya, I think here I'd slow down and, maybe play like bishop c2 or something looks like a good move. I like threading mate, not that easy to stop. You probably have to just move your knight back, right? Usually having h6 in these positions is not very happy because it cuts off the possibility of playing g6. That's a kind of an important thing to remember, that now bishop takes h6 is playable, whereas if you didn't have your pawn on h6, that wouldn't be a big issue. Okay, but let's hear from some other captain of a group, because I do want to hear from a couple other people. Via, you were in a different group than Ananya, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for white, we're talking about knight e4, and later calculated that if you didn't get checkmate, you would win a pawn.
I'm sorry, you were looking at what?
So knight e4.
Oh, if it was white's move. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. It technically is black's move. Okay, but let's play a move like a5. Okay. And then knight e4.
And then knight takes e4. And then queen takes e4. Except they can play something like rook e8, but then you could just go back queen d3. And then later we're hoping to do something like bishop c2, threatening queen to h7, checkmate. So
Cool. Okay, let's slow down because right now we're kind of going in the weeds a little bit. A couple of groups had similar ideas as this: knight e4, bishop f4. One thing I really want to underscore is that in isolated queen pawn positions, generally, unless you have a really good reason, what's one thing that you don't want to do that much? Anybody know? One thing you don't really want to do a ton of.
Trade.
Trade, exactly. And the reason is what?
I think when the pawn, when you keep trading pieces, and you could get to the end game, and then that isolated pawn will be a huge weakness.
Beautiful. That's right. Well said. Who said that? Was that Sharia? Who said that?
Yeah, me.
Fantastic. Sarah, your group's conclusion.
So I was with group 5. Sorry, I was on group 5, and we were thinking for black bishop to c7 because, well, at first I was thinking queen to c7 because then we're automatically attacking the h2 square. But we all decided later that we were gonna do bishop c7 because it opens up the queen, and yeah, and we can, it's sort of like an open file, and we decided to open up the queen. And
Okay.
meanwhile, we can still do queen to d6.
Yeah, it's decent, but remember Ananya's idea, group idea, it's not completely winning. I mean, you're not mating, but it's very dangerous. And if anything, your bishop seems like it's outside the defense here. So this could even be a slightly worse version of things. So just, you want to be always tactically alert. What about your group, Anna Maja? Was there anybody, Anna Miller, what did you want to say?
So my group kind of thought the similar thing for a similar thing for black, but we used the queen c7 because we can get our bishop out and then our rooks are connected. We can get the rook on a8 to c8 because we know that the c file can be of some good use for black. And we were also thinking going c5 with the black pawn to try to open that up a bit, get more pieces out, and so yeah, that's what we were thinking.
Well, okay. The good news is Anna Maja's strong opponent played queen c7. And the bad news is, Anna Maja, I'll let you go and explain.
So yeah, queen c7 was played, and it's actually allowing something. What is the move here for white?
What is the problem now, guys? Sahana?
Bishop takes h6 or queen g6.
Okay, bishop h6 or queen g6. That's a big statement, Sahana. I think you want to pick. Let's say we played queen g6, which threatens presumably bishop h6. Why? What do you think black could do here? This is actually really important because you got to be so precise in chess if you want to win the most number of games, especially good players like Anna Maja is playing here. What do you play here for black? Yeah, Ananya, excellent. Ananya in the chat is saying knight on b to d5. Yeah, that's a really annoying move because check this out. Now bishop h6 ain't so good because of what? Yeah, suddenly the pin is gone. It's kind of funny. It's easy to forget, but the pin is gone. So move order is everything. So I love, Sahana, that you're looking at candidate moves, but remember precision. So what did you play, Anna?
I played bishop takes h6. Yeah, my opponent simply is not able to take it because if takes, there is the check on g6. Now we are checking our opponent and gaining our material back right away and actually being up some pawns.
Let's see how it happened. That's a problem because unlike the position where Ananya was talking about, where it was probably good for white, but black definitely had some bite back. This just is horrible because you have the bad position, but you're also losing material. And oh yeah, I'm sorry, I think you wanted to ask them about this, but bishop c2 check is a really good move now that the bishop's done its work on b3. And now what would you do as white? Just to kind of finish off the job.
Exactly.
Well, actually, you took on h6 first, right? Or did you?
This was not actually the game.
Oh, okay. You did take. Okay. Yeah.
My opponent didn't take back on h6.
And now what else?
Earlier.
Now what's white's plan? I guess the arrows are kind of showing it, but like if black were to play, I mean, God, it's so hard to defend this position because you're also just running the mate with queen h7. But I guess how do I defend? Like f6 or something? Yeah. Guess that's the only way. That's not a bad way, actually. This is still pretty tricky. You got to be a little careful here, but black is in trouble because now we have.
Yeah, exactly. The rig lift. Yeah. So what I was pointing out with the arrows is you want to play f4 and you're kind of it's undefendable to you can just play rook f3 and rook g3. It's undefendable.
Yeah, like okay, so f4, queen g7, we would have to go like queen h4,
Yeah.
but still rook f3 and rook g3 is coming. And on top of that, you always have to worry about like bishop b3 check because it looks like your diagonal might be too short again, right?
Exactly.
Like I think, bishop b3 check's a threat now because you don't have enough pieces on d5. So that was a really important win for your championship, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this was the second match. And yeah, it was really nice to be able to do this small tactic.
By the way, I think knight d5.
Yeah.
I think knight d5 is the best move, just to stop it, especially in blitz, just too scary, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were also talking about the move c5 actually in the breakout room, which is really interesting. And I quickly found out like that there's something happening after d takes c5. What is happening after d takes c5?
Oh, tricky. Rania says, and I think Henrietta has the same idea. Bishop h2, bang,
Exactly.
love it.
Yeah, it's very tricky.
Yeah. Bernice, you just wanted to talk about bishop h2, right? Okay. So instead, that's a good idea though, right?
Yeah.
But I guess you still have to worry about the bishop h6 move, right?
Yeah, you still have to worry. Exactly. I was considering maybe to push d5, and now we have some more space that could be in our advantage. So yeah, those two moves definitely come up to mind there.
Nice. Well, good job in the breakout rooms. I mean, this is such an iconic type of position, isolated queen pawn. So it's so important to try to think about it yourself. I mean, one thing I was telling my group was that it's a little bit weird position for isolated queen pawn because the knight is a bit misplaced on e2. Normally, we want the knight on f3, more aggressive, and it leaves the e-file open for rook e1. But we also normally don't want the pawn on h6. So it's like a little bit of a balance there. Like both sides have something that's like slightly subpar for themselves. And so, yeah, good stuff for both sides. Liliana, if black plays knight d5 and there's exchanges, both sides have the isolated queen pawn. No, you can't both have the isolated queen pawn. Then it just becomes like a symmetrical type position, right? Like, I don't know what you would call this, Anna.
I'm actually not sure either. Yeah, I think symmetrical position is the best way to describe it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys one more position, and then we'll do a little bit of Q&A. I understand if anybody has to leave, but there's one thing I think it's so important to show that Anna Maja knows her end games. So we got to look at that. I'm going to skip this game if you don't mind.
Sure.
Where is it? Is it?
Not this one.
Oh, this is it. Yeah. Okay. So, what Anna is black. How does she win?
Very great, straightforward question.
It's actually white's move. So they played rook a8. And now it's like the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to put up a poll question.
The pawn is going down, basically.
Yeah, that says 2, so you know that. All right, good. Getting some poll answers in here. I love to see it. This one's so important. I know a lot of you guys have seen this, but could you see it in a blitz game for a championship title? That's the question. And how do you practice your end games, Anna?
So I've been doing my end games like my whole life basically, like my whole chess career. Like I was always told it's important to know your end game. So like I would study together with my mom. We have like tons of end game books that we would go through, and I think it really helped me to build some intuition in end games, that I have a feeling of like how to play. Like I may not know it accurately, but I have a feeling of how to play it, and really helps me to play end games well. But in this specific situation, it's a really thematic end game, and yeah, this is like you should know how to win this. Like if you know this theme, then you should
during this difficult time.